everybody. Don't know if you can hear me, it's pretty loud. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of wind because, well, I'm outside. It's something that you normally don't have to deal with when you're in the comfort of your living room. Never used this app before, so it's kind of strange. Everybody's going to be looking at me strangely because I'm talking to myself, but a lot of that happens anyway because people have like Bluetooth headset things in as they walk around and they're loudly talking to themselves. So, I'm trying to open up my own stream. Oh, interesting. I can already see that it's it automatically mirrors everything to one side. Oh, and it is overlaying the chat onto the stream. And yeah, the bit rate is going to be destroyed because there's just so much background noise and stuff happening. Every time I wiggle a little bit, it gets worse. Yeah, because right now it says there's 0 people in chat, but I see your chat messages. And I'm also streaming from a wireless hotspot, not streaming from Wi-Fi or anything. Yeah, chat was the ghost the whole time. So my phone has 2 microphones, and it tries to cancel out noise. I'll be walking around in a sec. See how long this takes. I'm actually using this Streamlabs chat, or the app, to do this. Hello, Great Zot. Hello, Toga Pichu. Thank you to Great Zot for recommending this app. I always look very fun to the stream like this, so let's give it a chance. Yeah, there's actually a lot of noises right now. There's wind, there's people walking by, there's leaves blowing by. You'll see it in a sec. The buzzing sound you hear are cicadas. Because I'm in a park and there's a lot of loud cicadas that are buzzing. Unfortunately, I just missed a big storm. It would have been fun to be out here streaming in the middle of a storm, but alright. Looks like things are stabilizing. Having to keep track of my battery life. So if I do stuff like suddenly stop talking, or if I suddenly put you guys into my pocket and things go black, it's usually because like, oh, I need to use both of my hands all of a sudden, or or I don't want to be loudly talking next to people, or things like that. So there's a lot of reasons why I might be behaving strangely. But I know this part of town extremely well, so I don't feel like I'm in danger or anything. I do have this whole awesome rig that's attached to my hand, so there's no way I can drop my phone. It also like lowers the stress that's put on my hand. So I got to remember that my microphones are on the left and right of my phone. So when I touch it, you might not be able to hear me. All right. So if anyone's listening, which I can see your messages, I see you. I am Switzer talking. So when I say the number 3. I want you guys to say, okay, what's a word that you could say? Say mono when I say 3, so I can see what the delay is like. So 1, 2, 3. Wow, that is actually an extremely low delay. That was literally like 2 seconds. Awesome. This building right here is the Pillsbury A Mill, which is one of the oldest buildings in Minneapolis, and it was recently converted into an artist loft. So people live in here now. The building's from the late 1800s, made by Pillsbury to compete with Gold Medal Flour, which is another milling company. A lot of the entire history of Minneapolis is actually based on flour milling. So in the whole area that I live in and spend a lot of time in is really dedicated to the history of flour milling and also hydroelectric power, because I live right next to the Mississippi River as well. And yeah, I see all of your chat messages, so I see the last 5. So if you really want me to answer something and I haven't, and it's past 5 messages. Sorry, the wind is really. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sudden loud noises because of the wind and lots of blurriness and bitrate destruction because I'm going to be going into a heavily wooded area, so it's going to be probably look like a big green blur for a while. You guys still hear me when I just talk at this volume? Because my phone is down by my stomach. You can? Wow. I'm using a Galaxy S6 right now, so it must have pretty good sound cancellation. Have I ever been camping before? I did once. Fun to try it again. So I'm gonna pocket you guys for a second, just so I can use both my hands so I don't slip. So everything's gonna go black and get loud for a second. It says ghetto protected, and there's this really awesome graffiti mural of some kind of angel. Yeah, it's just orange water, you know, it's gotta be pretty healthy water. There's some kind of like cable, a rusty metal cable running through it as well. And there are actually some pretty incredible urban exploring spots in this area that I don't dare go through because, first of all, I don't want to get in trouble, but also I'm not dressed at all to be around rusty metal. But there's a tiny crevice that you can crawl into that I've seen videos of that goes to part of this underground utility tunnel that's over this way. And a lot of these tunnels are historic, like they've been around for over 100 years. And there's just like leftovers from construction that's still over here. So I'm gonna pocket you guys again to climb back up. Hoping that doesn't mess with the hoping it doesn't mess with the what am I trying to say, that autofocus, because I turned the autofocus off. Hello, gentlemanly soldier. Hello, eel. Hello, everybody. It's another really popular spot for exploring. And it's hard because you guys don't have depth perception, but this tunnel is actually quite large, and people will sometimes walk across this this metal beam that you see there. It's covered in graffiti. And I'm next to an enormous retaining wall. Also, it's very busy in this area, so if you see me looking around a lot, it's because there's just tons of people walking around. I don't want to film them intentionally. Hope I find a cryptid. I know, right? That's funny. One of the only Minnesota cryptids is Paul Bunyan. It's like actually registered like on some cryptid website. Like Paul Bunyan is the Minnesotan cryptid, which is just a large, burly man. Like it's not even Bigfoot. It's just a dude who's really big and has an axe. I know what I could do. If I move from side to side, it'll give you guys a better sense of depth. Okay, well, I'm gonna move on. Is this the sequel to Marble Hornets? It could be if I tried hard enough. Somebody was here. This is one of the many outlets into the Mississippi River. I'm gonna head towards a scientific research lab where they do experiments on the Mississippi. And you'll see a big outlet. It's like rapids. Trying to hold the camera as still as I can. Just watching some local bees. It's hip to love bees. That was a bunch of a concrete debris. And I really enjoy looking at graffiti because it's very cryptic, and as you all know, I love cryptic stuff. There's a whole bunch of big concrete cubes that were over there that were left there as debris, and a while back somebody spray painted them to look like children's blocks. It's gonna get really shaky here. Is it obvious where Minneapolis ends and St. Paul begins? No, actually. But, not naturally, but there is a radio tower that sits exactly on the boundary between the two. So what we're looking at right now is the lower part. See if I can stabilize this. We're looking at the lower part of the Pillsbury A mill, and underneath there is the water that leaves the hydroelectric power. And this mill, like I said earlier, are now artist lofts. So you actually have to apply with your artwork in order to live there, and it's amazing inside. I might be able to go walk in there towards the end here, but yeah, but it's actually powered by the Mississippi River. Most of the power in this building is generated by water, and what we're seeing here is all the stuff that comes out of it after it goes and generates the electric power. Geez, my broadcasting phone is already at 60%, and I started with 100, but I have an external battery with something secret about this area that I'm in right now is that there is a geocache hidden here that I haven't seen in a long time. I don't even know if it's still here. Oh, it's just spiders upon mosquitoes, and more spiders. I don't want to get bit by some exotic spider. There's an oil drum sitting in the river. I've never seen that there. Not necessarily oil, but just a big stereotypical video game metal drum. That is so weird. How much power does the system generate? I don't know for sure. I just remember that they said that like 70-something% of their power is generated by the river. Here is the Stone Arch Bridge. This is the only stone arched bridge over the Mississippi in the country. And it is one of the oldest bridges in all of Minneapolis. It used to be a railroad bridge up until, I think, the 1980s. And it was converted into a pedestrian bridge. But I really love this bridge. I spend a lot of time on it. It's very scenic. Nice weather, it's breezy. Some things I'm a little worried about with stream is that so when I'm doing a lot of filming of the sky when it's very bright out, that the saturation, or not saturation, the exposure settings will just make everything black or everything white. I don't know if I have manual control over that. See if I can change white balance, and plus I can barely see my screen right now. God, I don't even want to mess with it. So I'd worried that it would like screw with the settings and just leave it that way. Oh, they repainted the whole thing. This used to be one of the most graffitied walls in the city. Now it just says Sunny Joe. Oh, they repainted everything. Shoot. There used to be some graffiti here that was just Mario's face from Mario 64, and it just says, "It's a me." And it's just like really janky looking. So technically I could, but I'm not going to. There is a path that goes behind where I just was, and it goes all the way over to the base of the bridge, but it's kind of daunting to climb over, especially when I'm wearing sandals right now. Yeah, Sonny Joe now owns that wall. It's up for competition. This was a pretty popular Pokemon Go spot because there was a gym down by that big angel graffiti that I showed you guys before. Here's where the gnomes live. So if you want to get gnomed, IRL. I ended up playing Pokemon Go a lot when it first came out. But the funny thing is that the one of the gyms was way down here, and at night this area is not lit at all. It's like pitch black. So when one of the teams got the gym, and I remember watching that, they were in the process of capturing it, and I was like, there are people down there in total darkness. And they held that gym the whole rest of the night because everyone was just too afraid to go down there to see who was there. Something I'd like to do in a future IRL stream, if this goes okay, is to attach my phone to my bike and take longer trips around town. And then you guys would be looking out the front of my bike, and all you would hear is loud wind noises. But the cool thing about a bike is you could just like stop anywhere and you get a good view of everything. It's just an amazing feeling. And Minneapolis is a very accommodating bike city. Well, the reason the quality is ass right now is because the bitrate cannot handle wooded areas like this. I imagine it just looks like a big green blur. But I'm about to get back up onto the street, so it should be less assy once I get out of the woods. Here we go. Stair stream. About to go look at the crawl space with a big underground tunnel, but looked like there was somebody there, so I don't want to go run into somebody while they're doing sketchy stuff. So that's where I just was. I was just on top of that bridge. Right there. And where I'm headed is right there. That's the 3-pole structure. Are you talking about the power pole? Yeah, the things with those, there are external cameras that you can attach to your phone, but I don't know. I'm scratching around for money at the moment, so I'm just using everything that I have. I heard you can attach a GoPro to a phone and stream from that. Saladongs. Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of people bring instruments onto the bridge I'm about to cross, so you'll hear some doots. Unfortunately, we're going to be walking into the sun. I'll have to get out here sometime when it's not, when the sun isn't in my eyes the whole time. There's the area I was just walking. see if I can make the phone any more stable. Hello, Peter the Great, MN. I actually saw you on the streets from Minnesota. It's kind of amazed that there's like 50-something people from Minnesota. Reveal or anything. Can't hear me at all, just wind. Yeah, I thought so. What I was saying is that you guys probably can't hear me. So what you're looking at right now is St. Anthony Falls. And St. Anthony Falls is the only waterfall in the entire length of the Mississippi River. So you're seeing it right now. It was I mean, it was originally natural. They made a bunch of changes to it. But they made a bunch of changes to it to ensure that, just trying to make sure you guys can hear me. They made a bunch of changes to the falls to ensure that it would never fully erode away, because the falls are essential to the hydroelectric power cities nearby, and hydroelectric power was essential for the founding of Minneapolis, so it's always been an important thing about living by the river like this. Yeah, so I could get an attachment, one of those big hairy things that you put over microphones to reduce the amount of wind you guys are hearing. I mean, this is unusually windy today. But I'm going to keep moving so I don't get so sunburned. Here's the other side of the river. Yeah, I get sunburned very easily. There used to be lots of barge traffic here. That structure you see right there is the Guthrie Theater. Sorry, the wind probably makes it hard to hear me. Minneapolis is one of the most bike-friendly cities in the entire U.S. Oops, that was a loud noise. And we're competing with Portland for like the most accessibility. It's one of the reasons that I moved here. So it's not only is it an amazing city, but it also has a lot of bike-friendly infrastructure and things like that. See if I can do it without being too awkward, but one of my favorite bits of graffiti is on this bridge. It's going to be very low to the ground, and it's in a bike lane, so I got to do it really quick so I don't get hit by a bike. I don't know if you guys saw the little alien fella. About different kinds of graffiti, it's like you can hide it in the secretest of spots, and that makes it that much more special when you find it. So you can see the people down there to get a sense of scale. This huge structure. original flour company that served as an economic basis for Minneapolis. This one was built before the Pillsbury, which is across the river. That red sign on the right is the Pillsbury one. Then gold medal is this one. And at night, it's very bright orange, and it's one of the most iconic parts. Yeah, I wish... Does it help if I just talk directly into the phone like this? I feel like my voice would be extremely loud. I don't know. Well, I look really dumb when I do it. But what I was saying was just that the gold medal flour that we're looking at right now was the basis for Minneapolis. It was the first industry that founded the city, and it brought all kinds of other business here, and we became the flour milling capital of the country for a while. And I just happen to really love flour products and all that kind of stuff, so it's really fitting that I live here. I'm going to have to plug in the battery in a bit. That's one of the things about IRL streaming, is if the stream suddenly goes offline, just wait a little bit and I'll come back. There's a lot that could potentially go wrong. But I'm going to be going into this building, which is the Guthrie Theater, one of the coolest buildings downtown. It's like a very prominent theater. There's a lot of actors and comedians and people that actually start here because of the big theater presence in the city. I'm going to wait until I get a little bit closer to the end of the bridge, but I'll have to plug in my battery in a sec. This is the Upper St. Anthony Falls Lock and Dam, which is a giant water elevator. Barges and stuff go inside it, and the doors close, and the water from the river fills up, and it raises the boats to go upstream. And unfortunately, it was closed last year permanently because of invasive species. That boats going upstream were bringing invasive species to other parts of the state. It's permanently closed, but it gets used for a lot of like tourist kinds of stuff. Otherwise, I would definitely wait here until a boat arrives, because the traffic was pretty big when it was active. I wish the sun wasn't in my face this whole way. All right. So, this building that you see directly in front of us. It might be hard to tell what you're looking at, but currently it's called the Mill City Museum, and it was a part of the flour mill that exploded, and it has a very famous history here for being one of the worst milling related accidents in history. And it was a result of, before they had ventilation, routing flour into different spots to stop it from accumulating. That turns out flour is extremely flammable. There's very fine, dry particles that explode pretty easily. So it was, I can't remember how many, it was like 15 people died in the explosion, and it just completely leveled the entire area. This was back in like 1910, I can't remember, it was long ago, but the damage that you're seeing right now is from a second explosion. It's actually a fire that burned down the current structure, and that happened in like the 70s, I'm pretty sure.
We talked about it, remember?
And when you go to the Mill City Museum, they do a demonstration of the flammability of flour, and you can actually witness a recreation of how flour can be exploded, and they destroy a tiny scale model of it to show you how much damage it can do. Okay, almost to the end of the bridge, and then when I'm at the end, oh, and I'll just show you some of the ruins. These are parts of the shipping that happened here, where barges, when stuff would go through this canal, and this whole structure was for hoisting flour up and down, and there's a giant underground structure. It's like a hollow canal that's below these buildings, and all these tunnels down there were all used for ships and bringing cargo in and out. And now it's just lots of swampy, metal, rusty ruins. I would go down there, but it's pretty far off the path. I'd like to get over to the theater before it closes, just so we get some variety to what we're looking at. I'm going to show you guys the worst graffiti in the city in a second. As you can tell, somebody defiled this land with the dark mark. I'm still here and just plugging the battery in. There's really nowhere to like put the phone while I'm doing this. Just get to look at my legs. Alright, my battery is plugged in. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, I'm basically a skeleton in real life. Something you hear people talk about a lot are these new scooters. A company called Limes moved in. Here is a millstone. This is one of the essential parts of the milling process, and it's actually very, very expensive to produce something like this. A lot of these are like in museums because they're so valuable, and they just have one sitting out here. And that's actually the original sign that we saw at Gold Medal Flower. It has neon lights on it. And the wooden surface I'm walking on right now is actually hollow underneath, and it's a really long drop into an empty canal below. There's the bridge that I was just on. there's a lot of shirtless people running around just because it's like 80 something degrees right now. This is a pretty interesting staircase they have in front of the theater that shows the geologic history of this area. The different names of the layers. So it says St. Peter sandstone, and Minnesota is known for having a lot of natural aquifers underneath it, so a lot of our water is filtered naturally, and sandstone plays a big role in that. So this is a sandstone at the bottom, and this is Glenwood Shale, Platteville limestone, yeah, when the leaves start changing, I'd love to do another trip. So I'm about to walk in front of a mirror so you can see a skeleton in real life. So this is the second tallest escalator in the world, I believe. Third tallest, something like that. I'm inside the Guthrie Theater. This is probably the most famous theater in Minneapolis, probably the whole Midwest. There's a big show going on right now. I'm not sure what act it is, but you can hear all the people dining. There's a restaurant built into this. Yeah, the photos are all backlit. But it's very dark in here. People always call it a bunker because all the windows are deep, as you can see. So you only get reflected light in here. So it's really dim, and it's so amazing to be in here during a show, especially at night. And I went to one of the fanciest events I've ever been to in my life, which was someone that I was dating at the time used to work here, and they get tickets for free oftentimes to employees, and I went with her, and it was the opening night to the Christmas Carol, and it coincided with, I think, like the 30th anniversary of the theater or something like that. And we had very front row seats. I was within arm's reach of the actors on stage. It was an incredible show. Opening night, VIP tickets. We got to meet the actors, and then we had a catered meal afterwards. And it was amazing. And I was all fancy and stuff, and I'm like the least fancy person there is. And also, now that I'm here, see that white bridge right there? That bridge. Not to change the tone, but that's the 35W bridge. And a few years ago, that bridge actually collapsed, and it killed a whole bunch of people and injured a lot more, and it started a whole huge revision to how bridges are maintained in the state. And it was it's kind of far away. I don't know if I'll go over there, but there's a big memorial to all the people there, and the memorial looks pretty cool at night. But also this bridge is now fully illuminated with RGB and all kinds of fancy effects, so the bridge has a lot of different themes to when holidays happen. So it's really cool, and I'm in the area, and the bridge is rainbow colors flashing during Pride Month. And we have one of the biggest Pride parades in the country here as well. So it's going to get really loud when I walk over into the busier part of the theater. I'm not going to be able to go in any of the theaters because I don't have tickets, but it's going to get really loud, so I'm not going to be able to talk very much. And also the hill that you're looking at here is Gold Medal Park, named after the flour mill. And it's one of the highest grassy areas. So I'll often go here when I bring a shortwave radio, and I listen to all kinds of secret amateur radio conversations, because there's so much interference in the city, it's hard to get much else, because you just don't hear anything. And that building right there, that little white thing sticking up at the tip of my finger, is the, I don't remember the name of it, but it's a very old, another flour mill related thing, I believe. And that's another place I'd like to visit. Not go inside because I believe it's condemned, but it's another huge, just very spectacular industrial place to look at. And there's a giant train storage yard over there. And the building right at the tip of my finger here, that gray one that's sticking up, that's the chateau. I was just there for a tour a few days ago, because it's an example of brutalism, which is one of my favorite movements in architecture. Oh, hey, Audio Atmosphere, your brother drove over it before it collapsed. I know, it's it is a very heavily used bridge. Everyone has driven over that bridge at least one point. This is the bridge that connects to Highway 35, which goes all the way to northern Minnesota and ends in Duluth, I believe. But it goes all the way down to, I think, Louisiana. So it's a huge highway. It's like a Route 66 of the Midwest, kind of. See, I should stream the state fair. I don't think people will be able to hear you because it's so loud. Yeah, I don't know, I might. Okay, so I'm going to walk around. It's going to be a bit loud, so I'm not going to be able to talk much, but get to see more of the Guthrie Theater. the amber box, is that open to the public right now?
It's open for probably another 20 minutes or so.
Oh, let's just go really
All
quick.
the way down to the blue glass elevator on the left. So it's really quiet here, so I'll talk quietly. But yeah, this is the Amber Room, which is right outside the Dowling Theater inside the Guthrie. And this is the normal lighting. Everything is extremely amber, and it's so surreal in here. That was the freight elevator.
Hello? It definitely is. Well, we're up in like the sky lobby thing after that. We've got the other side. Okay. We'll be ready to receive you in 10 minutes. Okay. See you in a little while. Bye. They're on the outskirts of downtown.
Yeah, so there's going to be a show starting in the theater that's nearby here pretty soon, so I can't be here too long. And the exposure on the camera is having some weird effects. I can see you guys, it's probably flashing really bright, really dark. Because the lighting right now is so contrasting that it's hard for the camera to figure out what's going on. Yeah, they're just setting up for some stuff, so there's a lot of equipment being moved in and out. So to try to give you guys a sense of scale, I'll try to hold the camera as still as possible, looking at the bridge, and you can see how tiny a person is way in the distance. First of all, here's just how amazing the room looks. So I don't know if you can see a single pixel moving across the bridge right now. We're looking over at the kind of towards northeast Minneapolis. Northeast Minneapolis is known as being the arts district of the state. Lots of huge festivals happen there, like Art a Whirl, IRL is, it's like the biggest arts event, not only in the state, but it has the biggest showing of any arts event in the country, I believe. There's hundreds and hundreds of artists exhibit there every year, and you can go look at just tons of original work. It's good to see there's still like 94 people here. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I'm going to keep going. I'm not ending. I'm just saying thank you. There is no yellow filter. This is how it naturally is. Yeah, and Peter the Great and Audio Atmosphere, you're both from Minnesota, right? Yeah, this is the Deus Ex 2 room. Doesn't it look like I'm approaching the final boss room or something? So I'm going to head back down to the main floor. It's actually very cool in here. It's air conditioned. Got the elevator to myself.
It's a glass. It's very windy right now, so I'm not talking because I'll be talking over the wind. But what I just showed you was the room that I was just in, the yellow boxes, 9 stories up. There's Mr. Guthrie himself. That face right there. I think his name was Jerome Guthrie, founder of the theater. So I'm going to head over to the U.S. Bank Stadium, which is probably one of the newest buildings here. So we have a bike share service here, and I've been a member of this Nice Ride for several years now, and I use it all the time, even though I have my own bike, and I bike like crazy all the time. It's really nice being able to just grab a bike and go like this. And I was trying to figure out how I would mount my phone onto one of these bikes. I know how to do it on my bike. I don't want to endanger myself. Yes, unzipping pants. That spike and the silhouette of that spiky shape is where I'm going. It's very ominous. The time is 12:43. Hello and welcome to the Black Mesa Research Facility. Gotta remember to point out interesting graffiti. Hey, we have a
and go visit a Vault-Tec product. There are tons of pets here. In the area that I started in, there's just dogs all the time. I live with lots of dogs and cats. I don't own them, but Minnesota loves their pets. See my reflection up there? See the people in the distance. Sorry, wind. Boop. That train is our light rail system. Take the train all the time. It's really nice. It goes all the way to the Mall of America, and all the way to the airport, and all the way to Target Field, which is our baseball stadium. I should mention that US Bank Stadium, the thing that we're looking at here, is our football, American football stadium. It's really hard to tell since you guys are looking at a two-dimensional screen, but this stadium is really, really huge. I believe it's the largest enclosed stadium in the country. I wish I could go inside, but there's no game going on. So this is the Commons Park. This is just built like last year. And as you can see, it's really huge. And it's in the middle of the city. And it's right by a big stadium. These buildings were just built like last year. They're Wells Fargo. In this building, right here, this really square looking one, this is Juvenile Hall. So if you're under 18 and you commit a crime, this is where you're brought. This building right here, it is baby jail, yes. This building right here is called the Armory. Historically, it was a weapons storage area, I believe like during World War II. But it was recently, very recently, like this year, converted into a music venue. Now, I've yet to go inside it, but I really want to. But deadmau5 performed here last week, and I could have gotten a free ticket to go, but I saw too late. So there's a lot of electronic music is shown here, contrary to what the signs out front are showing. I could jump on the train if you guys want me to. I mean, like, safely. Thing is, though, is there's going to be a lot of people on the train, and I don't want to be pointing a camera around within feet of a lot of people. I could try to get on a car that doesn't have as many people. I mean, I've been on the train many, many, many times, so like I know how it all works. building right here is the county jail. A lot of people locked up inside there, short term. It is a Sunday afternoon, so there's way fewer people around than there would be on a weekday. And this is our city hall. This is one of the oldest downtown buildings. And on the other side is either the largest or the second largest four-sided clock tower in the world. I'll have to go around to the other side so you can see it. This is the former Quest Tower. Now it's CenturyLink Tower, and all those antennas on the top are microwave antennas. And I can't remember exactly if they're in use anymore, but I've been at the top floor of the building to the left, which is US Bank Tower, which might be open right now. I could check it out. And this absolute unit of a building is the government center. This is where all of the court, law-related stuff happens. But on the opposite end of this building, which I'll go over there in a bit, is the courthouse, where the actual judiciary process happens with judges and everything. And I'm reading your comments still. Got 97 people watching. That's amazing. Okay, so I'm about to go inside US Bank Plaza, and the last time I brought a camera into there, they tried to get me to leave because of some law that they can't enforce, but they're just bored and they want to kick you out. So I'm not going to talk to you guys. Just going to walk around the plaza and just show it off a little bit and be a little incognito about it. So enjoy it while you can. They might ask me to leave though, because of bullshit. Doors are closed. God, I'll have to come back on a weekday. It's like a ghost town. 25,000 people used to work here. But weekend happened. Everything's locked. Okay. That wasn't very eventful. The one security guard in the building was on his phone. It's like leaning against the wall, not watching. He didn't even know I was there the whole time. We almost witnessed an accident. The car was driving the wrong way. Well, not the car was driving on the railroad tracks. And luckily, the train wasn't going in that direction. That's why the train driver was railing on the horn like that. Just gonna stop here a second.